Hello there, Qckslvrslash here, and today we finally have my review of HMS Hood. And it's taken me a while to get to this because A, I had to wait for the cheapest version to be available in the store, and B, then I needed to get enough games into her that I felt comfortable giving an honest review. And it's kind of a mixed bag. On the surface, some things that look really good turn out not to be so, and vice versa. So let's jump right into it. So one of those first things that you kind of see is the survivability is a rating of 82, which is the highest of the tier 7 battleships. And honestly, it looks pretty good here. 67,700 hit points. That's the most of any of the tier 7 battleships. Comparatively, the Nagato comes the closest at 65, but then you've got the Colorado at 50,000 and the Gneisenau at 58. So those hit points, pretty good. The armor even looks good, on the surface. 25 to 350 mils, that leads the class. The only other ship that has similar armor is the Gneisenau that also has a 25 to 350 mil. The Nagato and Colorado both just a touch lower at 305 and 343 in their maximum armor, but it's how the armor is applied that matters, and that's where I really found my first shortcoming. On a lot of the other ships, there's some extra armor outside of this main belt, and it's not really there on the hood. You can see there is a torpedo bulge, but that kind of main armor belt is exposed pretty much at the waterline. And that means you don't kind of get the additional protection of some of the torpedo bulge like you would in, say, the Nagato, Colorado, and you don't have the design that the Gneisenau has. And that really starts to hurt the ship. As you peel back the layers, things don't look too bad. The shells maybe come in, they might ricochet, but they just don't. And then when you look beneath that main belt, you've got some, and it's got a bit of that kind of almost turtleback design. It's got that arch design over the main citadel, but I've just found it doesn't keep shells out. For the same numbers that the Gneisenau has, the hood just eats damage, and that's really where numbers and practical, or in practice, they really differentiate, and that's why you can't just look at numbers. Now, moving on, we move to artillery, and these guns should be infinitely familiar to anyone who has the Warspite. These are 381 42 Mark IIs. The Warspite has the 42 Mark Is, and they're not horrible, and I've had some really good results using these guns, but they're not great. They kind of round up the bottom of the size category as far as tier 7 battleships, with the exception of the Scharnhorst, which I've kind of left out of this because in a lot of ways it's the same as the Gneisenau, except the one way it's not. Her guns are more heavy cruiser kind of size, but everyone knows my opinion of them, and I really do like them. So, what's the hood got? 381s, 18.6 kilometer range, 242 meters dispersion, and that's where you first kind of start to see maybe one of the hood's weaknesses with these guns, and it really does, to me, tie in with the Gneisenau and the Colorado. The Nagato, at 20.5 kilometers, 231 meters. So shooting 3 kilometers shorter, you've got more dispersion than the Nagato. And then you're very similar to the Colorado, which at 18.8 kilometers, 248. So if you've used the Colorado a bunch, you're going to know how these guns on the hood behave, because they're very similar numbers, and your captain skills and such will affect them. And then, kind of at the bottom of the barrel, you've got the Gneisenau, 19.5, 258, so similar. And dispersion on these double-barreled turrets, any of the double-barreled turrets in the game, always seems bad, and it's just because you don't have the same shell density coming from the same point. They're really not that bad, and I've actually had some pretty good success. They only do 11,400 damage, and their muzzle velocity is a little lower at 731. A lot of the other ships at this tier are shooting closer to the 800 mark. But against the right target, they're very effective. Now the AA, rating of 52, it's not the highest in the class, but one of the unique things about the Hood is it gets defensive AA, which I'm not really too sure about. You know, the Gneisenau, with the right equipment and stuff, you can really get that AA up. The Hoods, I've got modules mounted on this. I don't have the Captain in there yet, but it's just not great. And then some of your AA, like the anti-aircraft rockets, have a very short range, and that hurts them. The planes have to get very close, more than likely already having dropped on you before some of your guns start firing. And that's what hurts it. But what makes the Hood, and in my opinion, makes her a very playable ship, is the maneuverability. Rating of 53, top of class, and that top speed of 32 knots equal to the Gneisenau or the Scharnhorst, and it just leaves the Colorado and Nagato in their wake. And that speed allows you to do things. People know I like the Scharnhorst because of how quick she is. I like the Hood because of how quick she is. You're able to put yourself in positions that in a Nagato or Colorado you just couldn't, because you would never get there. The turning circle leaves a little bit desired, 910 meters, but with the rudder module on there, 10.7 second rudder shift, which the next closest is the Nagato at 15.2. The other battleships at this tier all have 20-second rudder shifts. So she's responsive. The turning circle's big, but you can get the ship turning quickly, which you need to do because you really do have to be careful with the armor and keep that bow angled. And then concealment, rating of 27, nothing bad there. 15.7 kilometer detectability, which is the same as the Gneisenau and Scharnhorst, and a little bit better than the Nagato or Colorado. So as far as the numbers go, things, they seem okay. You know, I pointed out the weak spot, or what I really feel is the weak spot, and that is the armor. It looks good, but it's not, and you need every one of those hit points to survive. Now, as far as the captain goes, I haven't done anything special with this. This is my Warspite captain, and I've just got preventative maintenance, expert marksman to speed the turrets up a bit. I've gone with superintendent, and I decided to put advanced fire training on there to push that AA range out a little bit better, and then fire prevention. And that was more a Warspite thing. She just such an easy target to hit, and you don't have the range. I always found my Warspite getting burned down, so it was nice to have it on there. But with that, you can see boost the AA by almost 10, now up to a rating of 62, and those rockets fire out to 2.2, 7.2 out of some of the AA guns. It really does improve it. So it's how you build a ship that matters. And I put the AA on there because she has defensive AA. And when you look at the consumables, there it is. And it's not replaceable with anything else. That's what you get. And I find myself missing the catapult plane that a lot of other ships have, whether you choose the catapult fighter or spotting plane. There's a lot of situations where I wish I had it. As far as upgrades, I haven't done anything too special here. Main armament 1. Once again, AA mod 2, so that 2.2 is, you know, pretty much the maximum range you're getting. Defense control system mod 1, damage control mod 1, sorry, and steering gear mod 2, just to really boost that rudder shift. I always like to accentuate, you know, the positives of a ship to really make it strong in that area. And I do that across the board, particularly with my battleships. I find, you know, the Grosser Kurfürst, really good secondaries. I push those secondaries range out, I make them fire faster because it is one of her strengths. Well, one of the Hood's strengths is that rudder shift and her speed, so I'm trying to amplify that to really take advantage of it. And if you can have some good games like we're going to see right now. In the Hood, before I got the Hunt the Bismarck camos for her, so this is the stock camo she would have come with. And basically the best matchup I can hope for. Not a lot of destroyers, number of cruisers, a couple battleships, but nothing bigger because, you know, with the armor performing the way I found it has, when you come against things like Colorados, Izumos, like the tier 8s and 9, not Colorados, North Carolinas, The 8s and 9s, they can really punish you if you get stupid. And that's something I find doesn't happen in something like the Gneisenau or Scharnhorst, and, well, the Colorado and Nagato, they just take consistent damage. So my first volley here, I get 2 overpens, not too bad, 2200 damage. It's a start, and more importantly, I hit, which I do find the guns perform well. The numbers say maybe they shouldn't, but for me, they've been accurate enough. I don't find myself cursing terrible RNG all that often. They're definitely not Nagato quality, where they're like lasers that just hit where you aim, but they can do the damage. And, 4 shells out of 8 connecting there. Can't complain about the over 11,000 damage to that Nagato. And things are going well. You can see I've already turned out. I am going to try to keep my range. And with the speed, you're able to do that, because there's no way a Nagato or Colorado can chase you down. They're, 7, 8, 9 knots slower than you, or in the Colorado's case, 11 knots. And that gives you the advantage, because you can just disappear if you want to, you can just sail away, the Colorado can never catch you, and the Nagato can't either, but it'll stay closer just a little bit longer. Now, I'm playing alongside Goomba, who's in his York, and he at this point started working the Colorado. I'm going to keep shooting the Nagato because it's perfectly side on, and you can see I ate a decent chunk of damage there out of their Colorado, 8,000. They're just kind of connected, nowhere bad. I just find the Hood takes a lot of damage, and that can be frustrating for a lot of people. There's a ton of people out there who go get battleships because you can be careless, you can not pay attention to your angles, and you'll just get away with stuff. For those of you who want a super easy to play battleship that just seems, to keep a lot of damage off of it, stick to the Germans. If you're looking for a premium ship, get the Scharnhorst. She plays really fun, kind of a mix of cruiser, like the Hood, but different strengths. The Hood's got bigger guns. And so far I'm having decent success. I've got 3 tier 7 battleships out here near me. 5,700 damage out of those 2 shells hitting. I aimed just a little high because that Colorado was actually angled slightly towards me. And the Colorado's going down. Now I am going to get lucky at a couple points in this game with people not paying attention to me, but that's how games work sometimes, and it's just about paying attention. The barrels are loaded again, and I fire. You can see just angling the minimum amount I have to get all those shells out, and I pick my first kill up. So we're just about 5 minutes in, and I've got just shy of 40,000 damage on the board, and it's this Colorado that worries me the most. The Nagato right ahead of me, I can keep my bow at. This Colorado, if I start angling towards him, well, I give myself up to the Nagato a little more. And in my head, the Nagato is more accurate, Colorado's not looking at me, I'm going to give the Colorado the flat side. Another good volley there, 11,200. Just a couple of penetrations and 1 overpen, and here come the return shells. But they hit high, so I only eat 7,000 damage. And I definitely got a little lucky there, because I've been in situations like that and just eaten 2, 3 citadels and it's been game over. But the Colorado's almost dead. That should finish her, and it does. 50,000 damage, and we're 2 kills in. Now, I've got an enemy Hood off in the distance and a Nagato. I'm taking a look around just to make sure no one's going to surprise me, and I'm flipping my guns. And the main reason I'm doing this is I don't want to continue sailing out towards the edge of the map. I want to start getting closer, because you can see most of my team has come around this way. So I've got to try to get in towards the enemy to really get some damage on the board. First volley at the Hood, or at the Nagato, wasn't great. Neither was the second. But that's going to happen, and the Nagato is angling in very well. Right here, I'm going to do one of the things fast battleships are actually really good at, and that's carouseling another battleship. When you get in close like this, you have the speed to start outpacing them. You know, if I were in a Colorado or a Nagato, there's no way I'm doing this. And I am getting lucky because the Nagato is firing HE, so it allows me to do this rather than kind of having to angle bow in. But I'm just going to try to get right past the ship side and pump as many shells in. And I took my volley, and you can see I was looking away there because Goomba said he had it. His torps are in the water. I trust my teammates, and he took care of it. So next up is this enemy hood, and it's turning perfectly side on. I line the shot up, and maybe we'll get a demonstration of the hood's armor. That's about right. 13,000 damage out of 4 shells, and no citadels in that case, but that basically ended that hood's game. And that really is what I have experienced a lot with this ship, is if you get careless, get yourself in close, and are forced to show side, you pay for it with your life. For whatever reason, that hood decides to cut back. I do another 9,000. Goomba fires over my shoulder, finishes them off, and on to the next target. In this case, I'm picking out the Koenig. Battleship, big guns, they're what scare me, they're what get into the Citadel. Where the armor does do very well, I have found, is against cruisers. And ultimately, these fast battleships, that's what they're meant to fight. They were designed to chase down and deal with cruisers. And the Koenig putting on a good display of how effective that ship is. I love the Koenig. It is just a tough little battleship, as is the Bayern. You can hear the fires burning away, slowly eating at my health, but they're not really concerning me, and I don't have to pay too much attention to this Koenig's because the guns aren't pointing my way, so I can sit side on like this and just keep all the guns firing. I was really hoping that was going to finish it off. I've got to start thinking about maneuvering. Omaha has been in front of me for a while. There's a Mitsuki somewhere here, unknown. You know, you can't sail in straight lines forever. So I get the rudder going over, and hopefully this is the volley that finishes the Koenig, and it just doesn't. The gun's penetrating for no damage. Maybe third time is the charm to finish him off, and clearly it's not. The Scharnhorst having to do the job for me. And, well, Omaha's still there, but there's an Atlanta to the north, and a Mitsuki. Once again, don't sail in straight lines for too long, you tend to be okay. Now, I know the Mitsuki's close, but I really want to get rid of this Omaha. He's been harassing me, doing a lot of damage, so I turn away from the Mitsuki, use that quick rudder shift to get the ship over, and well, the Mitsuki misses the first set of torpedoes. Unfortunately, I can't dodge them all. The rudder is quick, but with that big turning circle, I can't cut inside this one. So I eat it right on the bulge, and no flooding. That always feels great when you manage to do that. I would have been flooding for probably 15 seconds there otherwise. So I'm up to 107,000 damage, 3 kills, with just the Mitsuki and Atlanta left. And seeing where that Atlanta was, I know I have to get in cap. Goomba knows he's got to get in cap, and we also know there's a Mitsuki somewhere no longer in that smoke because I'm spotted. I'm pretty safe to bet it's not the Atlanta in this case, simply because of where she was last spotted and where that Congo's been. I'm pretty confident the Mitsuki sailed out of the smoke, so I'm just going to keep the ship maneuvering, trying to duck torp waves and get into cap. And there's the enemy Atlanta in their cap. You'll see me type into chat here, hey Congo, just go reset. Myself and Goomba are going to get into this enemy cap. We're going to take it, but we need a reset. And really, we don't even need the reset if we can get into this cap before that Atlanta hits half point. And, well, a plane in the air, in this case Goombas, manages to spot the Mitsuki because they hadn't disabled their AA. And here's a perfect example of that quick rudder shift really helping you get around torps. It only takes 10 seconds to swing side to side. You can change your course rapidly enough that you can kind of sidestep like that. So that is a positive. And at this point, it's kind of a waiting game. We know we're taking the cap, or at least we should be, but the Mitsuki's still in here. That Atlanta is still running down the points on the enemy cap, and we're kind of just waiting. The Mitsuki finally leaves cap, once again gets spotted by that aircraft because, for whatever reason, isn't disabling the anti-air, and now we are capturing the base. And the Atlanta wasn't quite at halfway. Now, our Congo is going to sail in. He's doing the right thing. Even if the Congo dies, all Goomba and I have to do is sit in this cap and not get shot up a whole ton by that Mitsuki, and we're good. And the enemy Atlanta, clearly not enjoying the pressure, sails out, which pretty much puts this game in hand.
Torpedoes direct front.
And unfortunately, I am going to eat one more torpedo. I've got the health to do it. Quickly put the flood crews to work and tap the repairs. The Mitsuki was momentarily spotted, but I never managed to get her shot off. And you can see that Congo is actually taking quite the beating from an Atlanta. And the Atlanta's a good ship in the right hands. You keep that ship moving, it can be hard to get some heavy damage into it. But the points are in our hands. The Mitsuki isn't on high health, so it can't really afford to start shooting at us. So all it has is torpedoes, and they don't come often enough to negate this cap. Goomba at this point has his hydroacoustic search up, which is mostly why I'm reversing towards him. I want to get as much buffer between me and torpedoes as possible. And you can see in chat, I gave Loki a compliment. He did the right thing. He won this game for us. He is burning down, though. And with those torpedoes running out of range, I know I'm safe now. The Mitsuki sailed away, and we've won the game. And I thought it was a pretty decent game. 566,000 credits, 8,400 experience, fireproof and dreadnought, 110,000 damage. I got a number of kills, only the one citadel, but I assisted in capturing the base. And fireproof and dreadnought are something I've found myself getting quite a lot in the Hood, and it is that deeper hit point pool that kind of lets you get there. Like the Nagato, those extra hit points can go a long way with the repair parties. And as I said before, you really do need them in this ship because the armor just isn't as reliable as the numbers may indicate. As far as the guns, I've had no issues with them. I know some people really felt the aim wasn't that good, that they weren't that good of guns, but I've enjoyed them, and with the extra aim range over the Warspite, which has the same guns, that really makes the difference. And for me, I really like the Warspite, but I know a lot of people who don't. So I guess part of it comes to each their own. As far as placement on the team goes, well, I rounded up in second. Goomba outdoing me in this one, just ever so slightly. My 3 kills, not enough to make up for the amount of damage he did that game with just torps in his guns. He was lighting a lot of stuff on fire and finishing them off with torpedoes. And how this ship performs kind of comes down to how you play it. I found you really do need to play it almost more like a cruiser or kind of second line battleship. You can't be leading the charge in this. It doesn't take the hits well enough. If you get yourself into a fight with a cruiser, it does great. That's where the armor does well. Against other battleships, if you show your side, you will eat citadels. That's without a doubt what is going to happen to you.
So don't let that happen. I got lucky in this game, that one Colorado aiming just a little high, and as a result, I didn't eat a ton of damage. Now, it being a premium ship, you do make good money. 451,000 credits and 8,000 experience. Way more for the captain because I was running all the special Ouroboros flags and such. And that's what these ships are about. So should you buy the Hood? I don't know. I would buy this ship if it was a steaming pile of crap. It's the Hood. For me, that was incentive enough. It's kind of like the Bismarck. Had the Bismarck been a premium, the Tirpitz was instead. I still got the Tirpitz. There's certain ships that just because of their historical significance, even though the Hood just sank, that's what happened to it. It still was historically a very significant ship and played a major part in how things occurred in the war. And for that alone, I would get it. If you are adept at playing cruisers and not bad at, battleships, really like the idea of British battleships that are coming sometime soon, I hear, good place to train up a captain. She is a little expensive though. So if you're just looking for a random premium battleship, I'd probably consider the Scharnhorst over the Hood. But if you like the historical factor and you're going to be playing Brits or you've already got a bunch of British captains, she's a good ship to have and I've had fun in her. She's consistently done about 80,000 damage a battle for me. And then I typically sink because I eat a big shell, but I'm not having trouble getting damage onto the board or killing things, so that's always nice. Anyways, I hope you guys found this informative. I hope it can help you make a decision as to whether or not you want this ship. I know most already will have. But if you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing. And as always, I'm Qckslvrslash, and I'll have another one for y'all later.